Imagine your favorite YouTuber smiling on camera, then finding out they're behind bars for murder. Today we're going to be checking out creators who crossed the darkest line imaginable. YouTubers that became murderers. Kind of crazy how people could just post content on here, and little do we know, they got the most insane track record of events to the point where they have to now be behind bars. And then their videos are still on the website. It's crazy.
Suzanne Eaton was a 59-year-old American scientist who was working as a professor of molecular biology in Dresden, Germany. A big part of her job at this institute was to travel around the world and hold conferences on the latest developments in her field. In July of 2019, she traveled to the scenic Greek island of Crete for one of these conferences, not knowing that this was going to be her last, and that the person responsible for her end would be caught because of his videos on YouTube. The incident happened on July 2nd, when, after a conference, Suzanne spent time with her peers and played the public piano in the venue's lobby before saying her goodbyes and heading out to her hotel in the afternoon. Sadly, this was the last time anyone saw Suzanne alive. Her coworkers noticed her absence when she didn't show up for the second conference scheduled for 6 p.m. that evening. It wasn't like her to skip events out of the blue. Something wasn't right. A fact that became increasingly clear when over 24 hours passed without anyone hearing from her. So, on July 3rd, her colleagues called the police to check on her, hoping she was simply sick or something similar. However, when officers arrived at her hotel room, no one answered the door. They acquired a spare key from the hotel management and went inside, only to find the room completely empty and undisturbed. All of Suzanne's belongings were also still in the room. The only things missing were her running shoes and a set of exercise clothes. Those who knew her immediately understood what this meant.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the saddest stuff when it comes to cases like this is, again, people who you thought it would never be their last day, you never know if you're gonna see them again, and it could be some of the sweetest people you know. It's just crazy how just timing of life works, and just, oh, I can only imagine, dude. I can only imagine, man.
Those who knew her immediately understood what this meant. You see, in addition to her academic prowess and piano expertise, Suzanne was also an athlete at heart. She was a double black belt in Taekwondo, and despite her age, loved going on a run every day. Knowing this helped investigators narrow down what might have happened to her. Put simply, she likely went on a run soon after returning to her hotel on July 2nd, and something went wrong after that. She wasn't super familiar with the area, and to make matters worse, the weather was uncomfortably hot that afternoon.
See, I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people like to solo travel and just kind of explore the world on their own timing, which is great, fantastic. But just considering the world we live in, period, it is so unfortunate to know that as a prerequisite, we quite literally have to have the mindset of just double checking, quadruple checking our surroundings and where we're at and what possible help could be nearby just in case. Like, again, when you were just living life and you don't expect issues like this to happen, you're never thinking on that wavelength. You're never thinking to constantly be like anxious or to constantly be in a state of paranoia or to check your back or to make sure things are in order and the people around you are sane and all. It's just like you just live. So again, for this to have happened, it's just crazy to know you don't know when things like this would happen to you. Like, dude, if she was just working out and this is something she actively did, it was probably such a beautiful thing for her. She probably just thought, okay, I'll just go around town and jog. Like, this is crazy.
There was a strong possibility she collapsed from the heat or something else along those lines.
Yeah.
After putting this together, the Crete police immediately dispatched a search and rescue team in the area surrounding her hotel and around popular running trails. Her family even traveled to Crete and put a €50,000 reward for anyone who could help find Suzanne. Unfortunately, Suzanne was nowhere to be found.
Wow.
That is until 5 days later, on July 8th, when two young men were exploring one of the abandoned World War II Nazi bunkers scattered across Crete. Around 200 meters in, one of them noticed a piece of burlap covering something on the ground. They picked it up from one end to see what was underneath. And what they found was the aftermath of one of the most horrific crimes in Crete's recent history. The burlap was covering the bloody remains of Suzanne Eaton. A later autopsy report discovered that Suzanne had several broken ribs, multiple fractures throughout her body, a missing ear, and much, much more. Whatever happened to her certainly was not an accident. The investigators began searching for clues, and fortunately it didn't take long for them to make their first major breakthrough: a set of car tire tracks leading up to the entrance of the bunker. Analyzing these tracks allowed investigators to find the car responsible for transporting Suzanne's remains to that bunker. It belonged to 27-year-old Giannis Paraskakis, a local sheep farmer. But when questioned, Giannis feigned ignorance and claimed that him driving through that area on that day was nothing more than a coincidence. He went as far as to say that he didn't even know about the existence of that bunker, a lie that would eventually lead to his arrest.
Oh, a lie. That's what I'm not gonna lie. Thank goodness that we have detectives and forensic scientists and people who quite literally could just take anything in their surroundings and figure stuff out, just be putting clues together. You gotta have a certain level of just like intuitiveness and like, that's crazy, bro. Shouts out to them for just even knowing how to correctly do stuff like this. Like, bro, how would you have not known, or how would you know if that dude was lying or not? He could, yeah, that easily could have been a coincidence, but at the same time, it easily could have been something way deeper than that. Like,
you see, Giannis had a dream to become a successful YouTuber. He started a channel with his own name in 2012 and began posting videos. However, if you go to his channel today, all you'll find are 3 videos of him performing an ancient Chinese martial art and meditation technique called Qigong.
Was he trying to be the Avatar?
Because a couple days before Suzanne's body was discovered, Giannis deleted every other video on his channel. And once authorities recovered some of these deleted videos, it became clear why. You see, most of these deleted videos involved Giannis exploring abandoned World War II bunkers, including the one where Suzanne's remains were discovered. This contradiction gave the authorities the go-ahead to formally arrest him on July 15. It also allowed them to investigate him further, and the evidence they discovered was overwhelming. As it turned out, the land where this bunker was located was owned by Giannis's family. Investigators also found traces of Suzanne's blood in his car's trunk. When confronted with this evidence, Giannis cracked and told the whole story. According to him, he saw Suzanne running down the road and something came over him. He hit her with his car twice before putting her in his car, driving to the bunker, and ending her life there.
Are you dead ass?
He changed his story to where he was compelled to commit this crime by a demon. Unfortunately for him, the jury didn't buy this one bit and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 20.
Brother, I'm not gonna lie. Listen, this is a super short rant. I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Nefarious. I don't know what platform it's on in terms of streaming. That movie had someone play the role of like a guy who was arrested, who was pretty much possessed by a demon, I guess. And the whole synopsis of the whole video is like the interrogator or the investigator trying to figure out if like he actually is possessed and if it could be proven in court for him to avoid the death penalty. I'm not gonna lie. That movie was kind of crazy in terms of putting some things into perspective. But when it comes to IRL events, I'm not talking about a movie script, I'm talking real life. Just simply saying that, a lot of people aren't gonna buy it, bro. Not at all. What do you mean you were just driving, minding your own business, and then something came over you? Hello? Like, what do y'all be doing? What do y'all be tinkering with? You don't know, sane, moral standing individual will just exist, and then boom, blink of an eye, be possessed by something to go ahead and take out a murder. Like, make it make sense, bro. That is disgusting that some people write that off as an excuse. Like, I kid you not. The only reason I made the comparison to the movie Nefarious was because of the fact that, like, the guy who was, again, facing the death penalty was indeed possessed by a demon. And it showed the ins and outs of him, like, kind of letting the guy who he was possessed, or letting the guy who he was possessing kind of come to the forefront and just witness the fact that, like, he couldn't control his circumstances. Again, real life, a movie. Even if he were to say that, people aren't buying it. Because again, if you're just chilling, you just not gonna be possessed like that. I don't think that's how that works in the slightest. So again, oh my gosh, man.
20. Now, this should have been the end of Giannis' story, but from what I've seen, there's more to his actions than just this one crime he was convicted of. The thing is, Giannis presented his vile act as a crime of opportunity, something he did completely out of nowhere. However, there's evidence to suggest that Giannis might be a full-blown serial killer. For instance, he was apparently detained by the police twice before, once for arson and once for animal cruelty, both of which are well-known early behaviors of serial killers. After his arrest, several other women also came forward, testifying that he had tried to run them over with his car as well in the past.
Lock his ass up. No, bro. No, we don't want to, no, don't nobody want to be around that. Put him in a box. I'm so serious. I have heard too, if you are just sick to where you see animals, mammals, and just creatures that have no conscience, they have no full recollection of behaviors that humans exhibit. Why are you hurting animals? What is even prompting you in your brain to look at a creature that don't be bothering nothing? They just live in their lives, and then you hurt it. It's like we could really go there, bro. This is gross. This is really gross to me.
So, Suzanne was more than likely not his first victim. However, the most solid evidence against Giannis is in one of the deleted videos he uploaded to YouTube. In it, we can see him showing some very human-looking bones scattered throughout the same bunker Suzanne was discovered in. These bones were never discovered by the authorities, suggesting they might have been removed by Giannis to hide evidence.
Mind you, they put this shit on YouTube. Like, this website is so vast. I do not think people truly understand the depth and the history of YouTube, the website. Although this is my full-time job, there are hundreds and millions, possibly billions of just intricate pieces of video clips and content that people constantly upload to the website. So who's to say that in the midst of all of those videos, all of those clips, all of the people trying to become the next up-and-coming content creator, that people aren't putting the most demented, deplorable content on this website? And it's just getting obviously, a lot of people do have instances, and I'm sure this video will show it, to where this is like way back in the past, just old YouTube channels, just old history of people attempting to want to post publicly on this platform, and then they get caught up for stuff like this. But just in general, to still have that be a thing, to where you, outside of the normal YouTubers in which you do decide to watch and be entertained by on here, there are some people who get on here and tweak. There are some people who get on here and just do the most heinous things, and in their minds, I don't know if they're just doing it for their own gratification to try and appease people, they will go out of their way and just post disgusting material on this website. Yes, on youtube.com. I just think that's the most psychotic thing ever, bro. That is really crazy.
And what makes this truly disturbing is what his friend says at one point in the same video. This roughly translates into, "Is this where you left that old guy?" Insinuating that Giannis had disposed of one of his previous victims in the same bunker before.
Wow.
And if that is the case, one can only wonder how many other people Giannis has killed over the years.
Nah, bro, poor Susan. Yeah, stuff like this just, it hurts the worst, because again, this can happen to anybody. To be so full of life and to already just be someone who just is minding their business constantly, and then to have the most unfortunate circumstances take place like this, I just can't, bro. It makes me upset every single time, bro.
Simply Manic 6075 was a YouTube channel owned and operated by 24-year-old Samantha Wolford. She lived in the small community of Monticello, Texas with her husband Ernest Lee Ibarra, aka Ernie, and their 5 children. She usually made videos about her day-to-day life and other random topics. Her story began in 2008 when she was at the lowest point of her life. She'd recently become the single mother of a pair of twins and had no love interest in her life.
Wow.
That's when she met Ernie at a local tattoo shop, and the two hit it off right from the get-go, eventually getting in a relationship and starting a family together. In one of her videos, Samantha described the day she met Ernie as the happiest day of her life. Together, they were blessed with 3 more children, including 1 more pair of twins. Raising 5 kids was a challenge, but Ernie made it work by taking a second job in pizza delivery. So, while they had endured tough times together, Samantha, Ernie, and their 5 children appeared to be the perfect loving family. However, while being a stay-at-home mother was all she could do at the time, Samantha still had a dream of becoming a famous actress one day.
I've always wanted to be an actress. I think it is so much fun. I've been extras in movies. I've had small parts in like short films. It is so much fun, and it is so beautiful. It is one of the most amazing forms of art ever, to be able to express yourself that way. I think it's amazing.
So, in October 2010, she created her YouTube channel and started posting videos, hoping to become a popular YouTuber and fulfill her dream on the internet instead. And things were going surprisingly okay in the beginning. Samantha would post new videos whenever she had something new to say. And while most of her videos struggled to get past 100 views at the time, the few viewers she had were enough to keep her going. But as time passed on, her passion for making videos turned into an obsession. She started spending more of her time on making videos than her family, putting even more pressure on an already stressed out Ernie.
See, I love this job to shreds. I would not trade my position for the world. But let me be the first to tell everybody who ever decides to watch my videos, if I personally am not feeling it, I'm just not going to upload. That's one separation that I have learned doing this career for this long, is that you have to have a defining separation between your personal life and what you can real life balance and what you decide to express yourself over the internet as. It's like, I do not think people understand, and I'll be quick, I do not think people understand how real that is to have the public pressures of you assuming you need to keep up with the status quo online. Like, this is the internet, right? Although this can quite literally have the opportunity to like help you in real life and like pay bills and stuff like that. Yeah, there has to be a healthy balance between it. I even know when I was coming up and I was truly trying to grind towards having this be a full-time gig, I still had to make sure that my personal life was under wraps and I was taking care of myself in the best way imaginable. And I was doing YouTube at 24 or at her age. So it's like, I fully was understanding of that and just tried to work with it day in and day out. But to even hear the narrator say that and that she started to become desperate, I already know where this is gonna turn, bro. Like, what do you mean? Hope she didn't just start neglect. I don't know, bro.
Around 2014, she also started accusing Ernie of hurting her in her videos, hinting at just how bad their relationship was going. But then, after posting a seemingly random video in March of 2014, Samantha mysteriously vanished from the internet. Maybe she lost interest in YouTube or just wanted to focus on her family again. No one knew exactly why she quit so abruptly. Then, on the 20th of February 2015, viewers finally received the update they were waiting for. Unfortunately, it was far more tragic than anyone could have imagined. It started with the Texas police receiving a call from one of Samantha's aunts asking them to save her niece's life.
Cause County 911, what's your emergency?
I have a home invasion. My niece is tied up. I am at the verge of untying my niece at this particular moment.
Okay, she's tied up.
She is tied up and gagged.
And gagged? Is that what you
Yes,
said?
ma'am.
Is there anybody else there?
Where are the kids? We have 5 small infants asleep.
Apparently, 3 masked men broke into their home in the middle of the night and attacked the couple while they were asleep. The intruders then tied Samantha in her bedroom and after hitting him with a gun a few times, kidnapped Ernie. Samantha somehow managed to get her ties loose enough to call her aunt, who then contacted the police after arriving at Samantha's home herself. By the time officers arrived, Samantha's aunt had set her free from the restraints. The kids were fortunately safe as well. However, what made this whole situation strange was that the intruders didn't take anything else from their home besides Ernie. And from the people who knew him personally, Ernie wasn't the type of guy to make enemies with dangerous people. Put simply, investigators sensed something fishy with the whole situation.
Right.
But all that paled in comparison to the main objective, which was to save Ernie as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Samantha didn't know anything that could give investigators their first clue. With no other option, the officers took Samantha to the station for further questioning, hoping to extract any useful information they could from her. But what none of them expected was that Samantha would change up her story completely after entering the interrogation room. Where before she didn't know anything about the assailants, now she had the name of a potential suspect, John Rebel. As Samantha's story goes, she was talking to her friend about Ernie's supposed attacks on Samantha, when suddenly a man with the pseudonym John Rebel overheard their conversation and started talking about how a man shouldn't treat a woman that way and that he was going to handle the situation. Well, as it turned out, the name John Rebel actually belonged to someone, a man named Jonathan Sanford. The police found and arrested John not long after Samantha gave out his name, right alongside his 2 accomplices, Jose Ponce and Octavius Rhymes.
Gee, who are these people? I'm not gonna lie, I'm obviously listening. Yeah, I'm gonna pause it because I'm a little flustered. Who the hell are they? It always just be a concrete mixer. Just I don't know who these people are, bro. Like, what is going on?
Surprisingly, Jonathan put up little to no resistance and immediately confessed to kidnapping Ernie. He also confirmed the worst possible outcome, that by the time the police got involved, Ernie was already dead. The 3 took him to a secluded forest and executed him with 1 shot to the back of his head. However, even after learning all this, one question remained. Why? Why would 3 men who didn't even know Ernie kidnap him from his home like that?
Know.
Every answer to this question pointed back to Samantha, who kept denying any involvement.
Hold on. I'm gonna think a step ahead. Do y'all think she went out of her way to like set this up in the sense that like, yeah, obviously she was tied up and I'm guessing all those other dudes had something to do with it and she's like trying to set something up to either, I don't know if she wants to free up her time, get back to YouTube, I don't know what, but this does sound really fishy to me.
Even if the investigators ignored her suddenly remembering the perpetrator's name, there were several other suspicious aspects to her story. Like, how was she able to untie herself enough to call her aunt?
Ding, ding, ding.
Why didn't any of her neighbors hear the break-in? And why were the kids all sleeping in the same room when usually they're scattered throughout the house? It wasn't long before investigators uncovered undeniable evidence of her direct involvement.
She orchestrated
This included instruction messages she sent to Octavius when the officers were trying to call Ernie's phone.
Thank you, duh. Thank you. Yeah, because ain't nobody doing all that. That's weird as hell. Which she literally went out of her way and helped set it up. Absolutely, because one thing about somebody doing weird stuff like that, disgusting stuff like that, I should say, is the fact that things that you normally do day to day, that a detective can just like go through and view your lifestyle and just see how little intricacies add up. The day of that event going down, like the narrator just said, if the kids are all just in a specific room and certain things are a bit neater and executed with more intent, it's gonna be a flaw that like I think investigators would spot out, because ain't no way that just abruptly happens like that. Not everyone is like just naive, I guess you could say. That is really insane. I knew oh my goodness.
She had on him. These read, "Kill his phone, shut that down, ditch phone, move." There was no doubt about it at this point. Samantha was in colluding with her husband's killers. And as the investigation went on, the real story came out as well. Samantha had apparently become addicted to the idea of becoming a famous YouTuber, and her neglect of the kids became a constant source of fighting between the couple. But instead of resolving the issue like a responsible adult, Samantha colluded with her friend's boyfriend to hatch a cartoonishly evil scheme to get rid of Ernie. They first wanted to plant hard drugs in his car and get him arrested, but later made the heartless decision that taking his life would be much easier.
Over some damn subscribers? Like, am I watching the same clip? Girl, you did this over some subs and some views. The check wasn't even guaranteed. That's the diabolical part. When y'all sign up to do YouTube, if any content creators who just so happen to watch me, and you either are inspiring to be a content creator or you're a content creator in the making and you already are slowly building your platform, one word of advice: don't do what she's doing. If you become a bit more infatuated with this job and understand that like a lot can possibly open up for you if you just dedicate a little harder, do not destroy your regular life in order to try and obtain this one. That is the worst thing you could possibly do as a content creator, and I've seen it time and time and time again. People are sabotaging. Some people will go out of their way and sabotage their livelihood for the slim shot of this working out. Like, if you want it that bad, there are so many other avenues in which you could like study the platform and truly learn about other content creators and slowly pick up habits and content niches that you feel you would like to do. It's a work in progress. It does not happen overnight. And the fact that she was willing to just her man in order to just try and continue being a YouTuber, and I bet the content didn't even jump for real. You see, I know she ain't putting nothing on here. That's disgusting, bro. Over being a YouTuber. Like, it was that damn serious? Y'all be that serious? Like, the clout's still that heavy? Y'all really that greedy? My fault. That just pissed me off. Like, come on, there's no shot.
There's also a chance that Samantha went with the murder plan because it would have brought her more attention on YouTube.
So you was gonna turn around and be like, hey y'all, guess what I did? I murked them. Ain't nobody watching that. It's disgusting. You look like an idiot. Ain't nobody watching that. You thought you was gonna make I just don't get it. I don't. What did she possibly think was gonna be a positive outcome from something like that? You really thought you got that obsessed and sick in the head where you just assumed, oh yeah, this video gonna rock. Watch me toss him to the side. Oh, I'm gonna go up. Yeah, she is a demon. I'm sorry, because like that, oh man, it's just, I don't even know how to feel.
She was eventually sentenced to 149 years in prison for killing her own husband, leaving her 5 children completely orphaned in the process.
Five, bro. That's
Diana Lovejoy was a successful technical writer living in the town of Carlsbad, California with her husband Greg Mulvihill. However, while her corporate job paid the bills, Diana's true passion was becoming a triathlon athlete and documenting her journey on video, resulting in her eventually starting her own fitness blog called Lovejoy Fitness and a YouTube channel by the name of Heavy DJ. She started this channel all the way back in 2008 and over the years used it to document various parts of her life. From meeting her parents after a long time to going scuba diving with her husband. At one point, she even tried to become a cooking show host of sorts.
Doesn't that smell nice?
Unfortunately, her channel never really took off, forcing her to eventually cut her losses and move on with her life in March of 2012. Or at least that's what it looked like from the outside. In reality, Diana's reason for abandoning her YouTube channel was kind of wholesome. You see, Diana and Greg had been trying for a baby for years by this point. Tragically, Diana had suffered 8 different miscarriages and was quickly losing hope. But then in September of 2012, the two were blessed with a perfectly healthy baby boy, marking an end to their struggle. However, what should have been a moment of celebration started a downward spiral of lies and betrayals.
Hold on, I think I've seen this lady. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna let the rest of the story play out. I quite literally have seen this clip of her, bro. Nah, this is getting a little creep. I remember seeing this, that's all. That's all I gotta say.
Eventually culminating in an assassination attempt. Things started going downhill when just a few months after the birth of their son, Greg lost his job, leaving Diana as the sole breadwinner. The stress of the previous miscarriages, combined with the crushing weight of having to support a family in an extremely expensive city all on her own, spelled disaster for their marriage. It wasn't long before the two were constantly fighting with each other. Things escalated even further on July 9, 2014, when Greg returned home only to see a police officer waiting for him at the door. The officer explained that Greg wasn't allowed to enter his own home because, as it turned out, Diana had accused him of attacking both her and their son. What followed was a nearly 2-year-long divorce mediation, during which the investigators found no evidence supporting Diana's accusations, allowing Greg to get a 50-50 custody of their son.
Ooh.
Diana was also ordered to pay $120,000 as a part of their divorce settlement in late 2015. But before the divorce could be finalized, Greg received a phone call from an anonymous number that changed everything. The voice on the other end claimed to be a private investigator Diana had hired recently. And according to this investigator, he already had solid proof of the attack claims Diana had made against Greg. But for some unknown reason, he wanted to help Greg win the case, so he claimed to have left the documents taped to a power pole located on a small hiking trail near
Girl, ain't nobody going over no damn power pole, bro. I don't care if you work for the government, the FBI, the CIA, I don't care what it is. I'm not doing that. Ain't nobody doing that. What are you talking about? And then you calling me from unknown numbers? Again, I get it. Y'all supposed to be discreet, but that discreet, I'm not picking that shit up. If you call my phone and I wasn't expecting it, I'm not answering it. What do people think? Like, I'm not gonna lie. That is kind of creepy. I personally wouldn't even know what to do. But again, to get blamed like that, like imagine you just come home one day and your wife is talking about, oh, like you did XYZ and now you, it's like, when you just get hit with it, I don't know, bro. Because if I know I actually didn't do anything, I'm fighting for that. But I'm not going to the middle of no field and then have the man be on the phone talking about, but I could still help you out as well. That's contradictory. Why would you call and be on her side? Like, I'd be getting upset, bro. Leave me alone.
Greg naturally found this whole thing pretty suspicious and decided to take one of his friends with him to the pole on the night of September 4th,
Absolutely.
2016. Sadly, despite his suspicions, he failed to grasp the true intentions of the strangely helpful private detective.
Hello, this is 911.
Yes. My friend has just been shot.
Do you know who shot him?
There's a guy lying down like a sniper.
A sniper? Did you see him at all?
Briefly, we saw the gun, and he shot at us like 6 or 7 times.
When Greg reached the pole, a sniper opened fire on him, shooting him clean through the chest. Fortunately, the bullet missed his heart by mere inches, giving him a second chance at life.
Wow.
By the time the police arrived, the shooter had already fled the crime scene. But a quick survey of the area allowed the investigators to uncover a pair of towels the shooter left behind. Running a DNA test on these towels led to a man named Weldon McDavid, Diana's shooting instructor. Weldon tried to deny any involvement at first, but the evidence against him was overwhelming, as after a thorough search, investigators were able to find another set of the same towels at Diana's place as well. They had also received CCTV footage of Diana buying the burner phone Weldon later used to lure Greg into the secluded area.
Yeah, she was trying to
Most
set him up.
importantly, investigators also found the gun Weldon used on Greg, hidden in the rafters of his garage. By this point, it was clear that Diana was the one who wanted to get rid of Greg, likely to avoid paying the divorce settlement and keep full custody of her son. Diana and Weldon were arrested for the attempted assassination on Greg Mulvihill and tried for their crimes in November 2017.
Why her face looking like that? Girl, you knew exactly what you were trying to do. Like, she knew. So I don't care. Like, why do people, again, you do the bad thing and then all of a sudden be like, Like, I can't believe I got caught. Like, what have I done? That's weird. Like, you're a weirdo, bro.
Both were found guilty, with Diana sentenced to 26 years to life and Weldon to a harsher 50 years to life.
That's yes, her passing out. This was the clip that went like mega viral, and everyone was like, she did what to her husband? I remember this. Like, girl, you knew everything. How are you getting flustered? And they just be mad because they got caught. But again, to assume you're not gonna get caught in this day and age, hilarious, bro. You can run, but I don't think you can hide. Because somebody gonna find you. People like that. People wake up every day and make it their life's mission and trajectory point being taking your ass to jail. So I don't know what people assume is gonna happen in times like this, but bro, she knew what she tried to sign up for. Like, that's, oh, bro.
The only silver lining in this entire case is that Greg was able to make a full recovery and is now living with his son.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's honestly what I was worried about, because again, even when I saw the clip of her that went viral and everything, I wasn't able to really look too deep into the story at the time. It was very surface level in terms of like how I viewed this. Until now. Now I know enough to where, yeah, she did YouTube. I don't think this was as similar as the other one where she quite literally just got obsessed with YouTube. But to still post on the platform, again, it is just so eerie to me to know that these videos could still literally exist on here. And you just don't know the backstory to these people. Like,
the Gunnar Runar 87 channel on YouTube seems oddly wholesome at first glance. It's owned by an Icelandic boy named Gunnar Runar Sigthorsson and contains a single 3.5-minute video of him confessing his feelings to the girl he loves. The title translates to English as My Confession to Hilder. In it, he says things like,
Hún án efa sérstakasta manneskja sem ég nokkuð tímann hitt. Ég verð svo ótrúlega glaður bara að vera nálægt henni. Það þarf ekki meira. Og þetta ætlað þér því að ég held sig orðinn ástfanginn af þér.
I mean,
however,
I'm not gonna lie, some people, there's a lot of stuff that people share on YouTube. A lot of personal things, a lot of intricate things, even if it's just to help other people. Don't know why I'm going on a rant about it as if I'm adding to anything. That's just something I've noticed. Like, a lot of people will be very, very introspective and then just post the content. But there's an audience for everyone out there, I guess.
Því að ég held sig orðinn ástfanginn af þér.
However, this seemingly heartfelt love letter turned out to be the key to solving one of the most horrific crimes in recent Icelandic history. And it all led back to Gunnar and the troubled life he had as a child. You see, Gunnar didn't have a mother growing up, resulting in him getting extremely close with his father. However, on the night of September 20th, 1996, when Gunnar was just 9 years old, his father decided to end it all using a gun. What made this already messed up situation even worse was the fact that Gunnar was in the room with his father and witnessed everything. Unsurprisingly, this took a heavy toll on Gunnar's mental health. He withdrew from the world and refused to accept his father's death as reality. Everything seemed hopeless for Gunnar. That is until primary school, when he met a girl named Hilder and instantly became infatuated with her.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that'll do it. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a crazy one, bro. Because I'm not gonna lie, obviously not excusing whatever we're about to find out, duh. But coming up with that level of tragedy, I can only ever imagine what that psychologically could do, especially if you aren't aided in any further help or resources or a guidance counselor through school or any true care of people knowing who you are as a child and could just help nurture that. With him losing all that and then him just going throughout life as if it didn't happen and just meeting a girl and then getting upset. It just keeps going, bro. Like, mental health is so serious, but like in a situation like that, again, that is so detrimentally unfortunate. Like, I don't know.
He'd admired her throughout school and into adulthood, but never found the courage to make a move, fearing he'd lose his only close friend. However, things changed in 2009 when Hilder got engaged to a man named Giannis. This gave Gunnar the push to do something about his feelings. But given his shy personality, he still couldn't confront Hilder directly. So, in March of 2009, he created a YouTube channel and uploaded his confession on there. Hilder never reciprocated his feelings, but the two remained friends. Even Giannis, Hilder's now husband, didn't seem to mind Gunnar's company, something he likely regretted deeply just a year later. It all went down on the 14th of August 2010. Hilder was invited to a party that Gunnar was attending as well. But things got a bit out of hand, and Hilder ended up drinking too much and passing out. Given their closeness, the task of getting her home safely was handed to Gunnar. But instead of dropping her off at Hannes' house like he should have, Gunnar took her to his own home. By the time Hilder woke up, it was already morning. She was understandably furious with Gunnar and immediately called one of her friends to drive her home. But nothing could have prepared Hilder for the horrific scene she witnessed on the other side of her front door.
Oh my gosh, bro. Because we already, oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. I don't want y'all paused it. Cry about it. This is crazy, dude. And that girl just at the house sleep. She's not even at her house, mind you, but I can only imagine that drive home for her. She's probably thinking the worst. Like, she's so confused, and then she comes home to this? Come on, dude.
Nothing could have prepared Hilder for the horrific scene she witnessed on the other side of her front door. Her husband, Hannes, was lying on the top of the staircase near their bedroom, submerged in a pool of his own blood. She ran outside and called the authorities. Sadly, it was already too late. Hannes had received over 20 stab wounds on his body, from his arms and legs to the back of his neck, and was long dead by the time Hilder found him. Given his condition, his death was ruled a homicide, and investigators wasted no time in looking for the killer. And while they initially suspected one of his business rivals of committing this horrific crime, it didn't take long for investigators to find Gunnar's video confession to Hilder and bring him in for questioning. Gunnar denied knowing anything about it and was eventually let go due to lack of evidence. Fortunately, not all hope was lost, because not long after that, investigators found a bloody shoe print next to Hannes' bed. Looking deeper into this print revealed that it belonged to a pair of limited edition Adidas shoes. At the time, there were only 18 of these specific shoes in all of Iceland.
Now, how the hell he get his hands on 18? This is what I mean by like that forensics team, bro. When they go to look for them clues, they will come up on the tiniest bits of pieces to solve it, bro. And it's crazy that they help out that much. Because there's 18 pairs, and he just so happens to have one. And they just so happen to find... That is insane to me, dude.
There were only 18 of these specific shoes in all of Iceland. And Gunnar just so happened to own one of these pairs. This was enough evidence to detain him once again. This also gave investigators the authority to do a thorough search of his belongings, resulting in them finding residue of Hannes' blood on his shoes, as well as in his car. Once presented with this evidence, Gunnar confessed to the murder. He also revealed that he'd been planning it for months, and even shoplifted the items he intended to use to avoid purchase records linking back to him. And while he didn't admit to it, Hilder also suspected him of spiking her drink that night, since she usually never passed out like that. Yeah. After committing the crime, he also drove to a nearby pier and dumped items used in the crime into the sea to get rid of any evidence. It was a well thought out plan, since he was only caught because the garbage bag he used to hide his shoe prints tore open as he walked.
Here's my thing though, sure, well thought out plan. He unfortunately succeeded in that plan. My thing is, when people go to like who just mentally aren't well and are just willing to take on that type of role and like really do harm to people, it's never fully thought out to that extent. Meaning past the crime, there's really not too much of a plan that stays intact. Meaning, what did he assume was going to happen? Did he think, oh my gosh, like, I do love you too, and they were just going to live happily ever after? Did he assume that she was just going to like, you see what I mean? Anything past them having that urge to do whatever it is they felt they wanted to do to solve whatever problem they assumed that's going to solve, they never think past it. That's a very selfish take to where like, now she don't have her husband. Like what? Now she got to go through this and he's gone. And now this guy's in jail. Like, again, very unfortunate that he came up the way he did and with his father and stuff, but to just turn around and do it to someone else is just still just as bad. It really is. And it sucks that, like, again, when it comes to mental health, people just aren't willing to reach out all the time. And not everyone is going to fully be aware to just spot cues every single time when it comes to people who they just gotta have an extra lookout for. But again, you'll just never know, bro. That's the scariest part about all this, I would think. Like, that's, oh.
As for his motive, it was just as everyone had expected, with him making it clear during the investigation, stating, "I loved Hilder. She was supposed to be with me. She was not supposed to be with him." Surprisingly, he was found not guilty during his first trial on March 1, 2011 by reason of insanity stemming from his messed up childhood. However, the prosecution argued that he was fully aware of his actions and escalated the case to the Supreme Court of Iceland. Gunnar was found guilty on this second trial and was sentenced to 16 years in prison. This was already lenient given the brutality of his crime, yet he ended up serving only half of that sentence as well. He was released under supervision in July 2019.
You're cap.
And now works at a local warehouse.
You're cap. You're cap, bro. You're cap. That, okay, all right. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, that one hurt. That's just, my mind can't even compute why people just take out certain actions in this life when we really only get one of these. I just don't know, bro. Listen, that's gonna be it for today's video. This one was kind of heavy, I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this type of content though. I'm a very, I don't know, I like watching stuff like this. I'll just be curious on why people just do what they do, bro. I just don't know. But you guys get the gist. That's gonna be it again. Love you guys. Have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.